And again, if you've already done that, you're good to go. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to do my intro. I'm going to start with that and then I'll share my screen and we'll get going with our content that we're going to be covering today. So, good morning and welcome everyone to our Canva session. My name is Monica Samuel Martinez. I am a Canva learning consultant. I provide professional development to all of the Canva accounts in the state of Texas. I actually have a standing sort of history with you all with PSJA. I've done work with y'all in the past. I used to work for TCA way back in like 2008. And during that time, and even after that, when I worked under other companies, just happened to be working with your district over the course of time. So it's nice to now come back and work with y'all under the Canva umbrella. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. If you have any questions as we move along the way, please use the chat to ask your questions. I will be coming back to the chat periodically to check in to see if there are any questions that are on there. But otherwise, feel free to just kind of watch along as we move on the screen. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we're going to kick off. I'll put this in presentation mode. Okay. All right. So again, we're going to be talking Canva today, but we're specifically going to be looking at it from our student lens. So let's put on our student cap as if we were the students in class. How might we use it? And then we're going to put on our teacher hat and think about what kinds of activities we could generate that our students would be able to interact with. So again, the end user is still the student, but we're thinking about it from those two perspectives. And then we'll dive into sort of all kinds of examples. Before I do, really quick, here is my social media accounts on the screen. If you're on social media, I'd love to follow you. Please go ahead and follow me there, and then I'll follow you back. And if you're posting content on stuff that you're creating in Canva, I definitely want to be able to amplify those. So please tag me so I can see them. You can also tag our Canva account at Canva EDU across all social platforms. And you'll notice we have some hashtags as well that we use. So anytime you use those, it's going to allow us to find your content faster so we can amplify it. But also because as we work more and more with your district and more teachers, we're going to be able to share with other teachers within your district, like what are other teachers already doing so that they can see examples and so forth. So please do tag us, share the Canva love so that we can amplify your messages. All right, in the chat, if you don't mind letting me know what's your experience with Canva. Let's do 1 through 4 to start. So if you're unfamiliar, brand new to Canva, you would be a number 1. If you're somewhat familiar, you've dabbled in it a little bit, that would be a number 2. If you're kind of, building some things, you've created a couple of different things in the different tools, that's 3, you're familiar. Number 4, you're using it often. It doesn't have to be daily, but you're rocking and rolling. You got it down. You're looking for some tips and tricks, that kind of thing. That would be a 4. So again, we're doing 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the chat. And then the last thing we're going to do after that is going to be around your experience with using it with students. Again, we're going to be talking about using this with students as the center person using the tools. And so if you've already used it with students or your students in your class, maybe you didn't necessarily introduce it to them, but if they're using it or have used it in the past, go ahead and drop that in. All right, so I do see a comment in here saying unable to hear. If you don't mind maybe logging out and logging back in, I believe everyone else is good as far as audio and can hear. And so it might be something on the computer that just didn't toggle on the audio portion. She can't hear what I'm saying. Hello. Try logging out and back in. All right. Here I am explaining it to her with audio and I'm like, she can't hear. Okay. All right, thank you for posting your experience there with Canva. The next question I have for you is, what is your role? What do you do at your district? If you don't mind telling me, what you teach, maybe what grade level, what content area, or if you're support staff and you support K-12, what's your role there? Go ahead and type that in for me. Thank you, David, for adding to that. Richard, what is the unit? All right, so I'm seeing mostly elementary in this session, some middle school. I think David was being funny, or maybe because I asked, what do you teach? And Richard wrote, the unit. All right. Okay. Thanks for adding those. You can continue, like I said, to use the chat to respond to prompts and to also ask any questions you might have. I'm going to go ahead and continue here then with our presentation. So thank you again. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So we've got just a short amount of time here together. We're going to cover a bit of everything in regards to the learner journey. We're going to kick off with what is Canva for Education. We will do a quick overview of the interface because that just changed for everyone. Last month, what Canva did was update their user interface. And so that's going to look new to everyone. So we're going to do just a quick highlight, a quick overview. And then we will jump into some examples of how a student would leverage or can leverage Canva. And then I've got an entire deck for you that's got ideas for how you can use Canva with your students. So we'll definitely do that. If you have a secondary device where you could maybe watch on one and then use a second one to try things out, or if you want to leave one tab open where you can hear me, but then jump over to another tab where you can actually try things out, please feel free to do that. That way you can follow along and hear and also actually try things out. But if you don't or don't want to do that, totally fine. You can follow along on the screen watching. All right, excellent. So thank you everyone else who continue to add notes there for what your role is at your school. All right, I'm going to turn off the camera so we can have all the bandwidth for our content here. Okay, all right, so let's kick it off with what is Canva for Education. So many of you noted that you'd used it a little bit, and so let's kind of highlight some things, especially for those of you who had a Canva account prior to your district going Canva for Education. You want to know exactly where to go to make sure you're finding the content that you need. So I'll be highlighting that. But really quick, Canva for Education is going to give you access to an entire suite of applications that includes docs, whiteboards, presentations, social media tools where you can build banners and social posts, as well as posters and flyers and things like that. Then you've got a video tool. You can also print your products and also create websites for your classroom, or your students can create their own websites for maybe the projects they're creating, or also for a portfolio of work to show just sort of a gallery of the work that they completed over the course of maybe a semester or the year. Within presentations, they can do recordings and capture their work, maybe reflect on their learning. In whiteboards, they can do collaborative projects together and so forth. In docs, they can write up papers or reflections, things like that. So lots to explore. We're going to dabble in a few of these items. We're not going to get to everything. Hopefully you'll join us in one of our other sessions. We've got more this afternoon. But today we're going to focus on how a student can really leverage these tools by sharing some examples. And at the end, like I said, I will be giving you a slide deck that's got a ton more examples than what we're able to cover. Before we dive into the tools, I wanted to let you know that you've got nearly 700,000 templates to pick from. In these templates, you're going to find all kinds of content, including education-specific content that's already pre-made and ready to go. But whether it's the education template or the non-education templates that you're using, all of them are customizable. You're going to see us do that here in just a little bit, where you can go in and tweak anything that you're creating within your Canva account. You're going to be able to go in there and make adjustments to the text, change up your photos, your videos, all that kind of stuff. So lots of flexibility there in what you're able to accomplish. In addition to the 700,000, we also have over 100 million graphic assets, audio assets, visuals, things like that. So think video clips, audio clips, think sound effects. You've got animations, graphics, all that kind of stuff, so much in there. And then with the pro features, you're going to be able to leverage magic tools to be able to remix and resize and remash up those. So you even have more capabilities, even beyond what is already in the library of features. Between the templates and these assets, You've got a lot to pick from. And I wanted to let you know that this content that's there is safe for your students to use. It is within the public domain, meaning you're not infringing on copyright. So when your students are using them, they're able to use them. It's not like going just straight out to google.com, finding any one image that may be copyrighted and using that in your project. Here, you know that when it's within your Canva for Education account, it is protected. It is safe for your students to use. You're not going to find inappropriate content in there. It is safe and it is copyright free. So you're not infringing on copyrights at that point. So definitely make sure you're leveraging your school account. Now, we often get the question, why is Canva for Education free? And is it truly free? And yes, as long as you're using your Canva for Education account, it is free of charge. And we make it free because we believe that education is a human right and that everyone should have access to all these amazing tools to be able to create all this great content that your students are creating, that we know that the skills you're putting to practice are going to transcend the K-12 landscape. All right, so we're going to start with a little bit of an overview of the interface, and we're going to do this also by speaking to how a student would use it. So let's go ahead and do that. If you're following along on your computer, go ahead and go to canva.com or however you normally log into Canva, and that'll take you to the main dashboard, which is what you see on my screen now. So this is where you want to be, again, if you are creating this also on your end. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a home button, projects, templates, and a few other icons. So this is a brand new column. Before, this column was mashed up with this one. So there's only one big one. Now there are two because we wanted to highlight and pull out these items on the left-hand side. Okay, so I just want to pause there to make sure that you're good with that. All right, so that's your home items there. Under projects, this is where you're going to find all of the content that you have created or that your colleagues or students have created. Um, any of that kind of content is in here. So if I were to share something with you, it's going to show up in this section. Whatever you create shows up here as well. Now that's going to be a lot of stuff. So as your students start to share content with you, or if you're looking for something that belongs to one of your students, you can drop down this menu where it says owner. You can type in the student's name and it'll auto populate letting you pick that student so that you can find the work that that student has done. So maybe you've assigned something and a majority of your students have turned it in, but there's a few that haven't. You can actually go and look in their anything that they're sharing with you. You'd be able to see and hear any of those items. Now, if you happen to know I assigned them a whiteboard activity, you can also filter by not only the person's name, but also the doc type so that it further filters the results. So you find exactly that activity that you're looking for from that particular student. You could do the same if you were filtering, for example, by owner to find something that a colleague shared with you, you'd be able to do that. In addition, when students share content with you, whether it's they're commenting you into something or they've shared an entire document or resource, up here at the top right, you'll see there's a little bell. You can drop down that menu and you can see all the options here. You'll see if somebody has commented you into something or if somebody has shared something with you. It's a nice little just preview of content that's been shared with you recently up here at the bell at the top right. All right, I'm going to go back to home. I want to show you just up here at the top right-hand side that there is a drop-down menu there. So I want you to go ahead and toggle that open. All right, so from that menu up at the top, when you toggle that open, you'll notice that you've got some accounts that you can pick from. I've got my Canva account and then I've got a personal account. So all of your accounts will show up here so that you can toggle between them and select the one you want to be creating in. To leverage all of the pro features for free, you want to be under your school account because you get them for free. If you're under a personal account, you would have to upgrade and pay to get those pro features. So make sure you've selected your school account and you should be able to then get to all of your paid features from there. Okay. All right, the next thing I want to show you here really quick over on the left are the templates. So under templates, this is where you're going to find those nearly 700,000 that I mentioned earlier. So all kinds of templates that you can get to from here, and you'll be able to look at templates based off of type. For example, here you've got docs, whiteboards, worksheets, presentations. We also have lessons that you can look through. So if you're looking for a lesson that includes the presentation, some activities, maybe an infographic, a poster you might use for it, you can actually access lessons from here as well. You click this button to see more of those lessons. And then below that, you can filter your templates by grade level. You can also filter by subject area, and of course by resource type, which is the same as filtering up here by resource type. So those are down there so that you can do searches for your content. Now, having said that, if I specifically know something that I want to find, I'm going to go back to my home button, come back up here. Notice that up at the top, you have this search box where you can search templates and tell it exactly what it is that you are searching for. So I can type in, for example, our session today is called Ways to Capture Student Learning. If I wanted to find templates on that, I could search for and find examples of that here. If I wanted to search for not templates, but my content, I select all my content and then hit enter to find all of the resources that I've created around this topic. So you can do searches directly from the top without having to go to projects or templates on the left, especially if you know exactly what it is that you're looking for. All right, so I'm going to go back to the home page. Off of our presentation here, I just want to show you, so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to use ways that we're going to use video to capture student learning. We're also going to look at it from the standpoint of using or creating portfolios of work, using whiteboard or also presentations. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to show you even more additional ways to be able to capture student learning and do student activities. All right, so let's come back to the home page. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a search for a pre-made template. We're going to pretend here that our student has finished maybe a project or a presentation that they were assigned to do. And we're then going to leverage our record feature for students to reflect on their learning or maybe explain their learning. So we want a template that already has content in it for this demo. Again, we're pretending here that our student has created this presentation. So on the left, we're going to templates. And from these filters here across the top, we're going to select presentations. And then in the section below, we're just going to find a presentation. Doesn't matter which one for the purpose of this activity. We're just going to select any one thing that is here. So I'm going to select this one. It's called The Emotional World of Children. I'm going to click on the purple button that says Customize this template. And again, we're going to pretend here that our student has gone through and created this presentation. This was their assignment. And now what we want them to do is to reflect on their work. So over on the left-hand side, as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of different buttons. These are part of the editor here. We're going to go to where it says Uploads. I'm going to click on Uploads. And then here at the top in the purple button, I'm going to click on Record Yourselves. It's right below the Upload Files button in purple is a Record Yourself button. I'm going to click on that. And it's going to launch my camera. So you see me down here at the bottom, right? And right now I'm in the form of a circle, which I can change to a rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there like that as a circle. And then I also have some filters. So if my lighting wasn't very good, I could change my lighting. From all of these filters here, I can also change the effects. That does a little bit of skin smoothing if I wanted to. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to come back to our little circle here. You also have this mirror camera. If I had text behind me that was valuable and important and needed to be a part of this recording, then you can mirror the text, because when you're recording text that's behind you, it's going to appear backwards in the recording. So you want to mirror that so that it flips it to the correct way. And then you've got the turn off camera, so that if you only want to capture audio, you would only capture audio. So totally up to you. Remember, there are times, when these assignments are being done at home where maybe they're not comfortable capturing footage in their homes and they want to turn that camera off, they could do that. Or maybe it's because it's not needed and you just want to capture the audio. For now, we're going to leave that on. And I did want to show you when you do change the shape. So there it is, like a rectangle. And then there it is again, like a circle. So you can just toggle between the two there. Down at the bottom, you'll see my thumbnails. You've got all of these different thumbnails of my entire slide. I'm going to be moving from one to the next, talking as if this was the student doing the reflection. So I'm going to click on the record button. And here we go. Hi, my name is Monica Martinez, and I did a project on emotional world of children. And we're going to go through the journey of psychology. Okay, you get the idea. It's ... Okay, here we talked about this, or we did this, or here's what I did when I was doing this. And then now I went in and did this, etc. And I tried this out and this didn't work. So it just depends on what the prompt is, right? That you've given your students. So perhaps they're reflecting on their work, or maybe you're having them practice presentation skills and you want them to go through their entire presentation and record themselves so that they can hear themselves going through it, so that they can, maybe fix some things that went wrong or readjust it, or maybe even change up the slide order because it didn't work out that very well the way they had it, etc. Or again, it's an assignment where students are explaining their work, reflecting on their work, etc. All right, so you can see here, I'm just moving between slides at the bottom. And my recommendation, which you want to share with students, is you always want to pause right before you move to another slide, so that you have a clear sort of break between the slides and what you're saying between each of those slides. All right, let's say that we were done with our recording. Oh, before I click the done button, notice there's a pause button that lets you pause the recording. So let's say I had to look at my notes again. So the student maybe has notes for each slide. So maybe I want to look at the notes to see, okay, what's coming up and what am I going to say? Let me review it. Okay, I'm ready. Let's resume the recording. And now I can go ahead and record. And then you move on to the next one and so forth. But let's say we're done now. We're going to click that purple button, done. Up at the top right, we're going to click that save and exit. And then we're done now. So you'll notice what's happening over on the left-hand side is it's dropping in all of our videos. But you saw me do one video. Why do I have, let's see here, 2, 4, 6, 8? I've got a lot. Why do I have so many when I just did one recording? Any guesses?
I can't see your video.
Here it is on the left. Thank you.
Thank you.
So here it is on the left. So you can see I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 different video clips. Why do I have so many? So because I was moving from slide to slide, I see what just happened. We couldn't see what I was doing. Let's do that quickly again. I click the record button. And from here, you can see this tab, yes? I hit the record button down at the bottom. And I was moving from tab to tab with my recording. And once you're done with your recording, you can hit the done button. This was that pause button I was talking about. And then you click done and then save and exit. I'm gonna actually delete that because we already have a recording. And I'm gonna exit the studio. And that brings us back here. Okay, so again, it did multiple recordings. Why? Well, because as I was moving from slide to slide, it knew, oh, she only said this in this slide. So it clipped that portion of the video and only included that portion with this section. When I moved to the next slide, it clipped just that portion that I said there in that particular slide, and it clipped it to only include that video portion. So it's clipped all of my videos for all of the slides that I went through. So you can see I've got that little guide down there at the bottom for every single one. This now behaves as an individual element which you can move anywhere around the screen, because down here I was covering the text, so we need to move me up here for that one. For this one, maybe just move it slightly over to the left, or again, you could move it up to the top. So you can adjust these how you see fit, because these are individual clips that you can now move around the screen. Now, let's talk about the student who maybe did this recording, and maybe when they did the recording, they messed up. Maybe they weren't able to, capture the meaning behind what they wanted to say in this slide. And so you want to redo it. So let's say we don't want this one. It doesn't work for us. We delete it. So let's get rid of that. And then we record ourselves again, but only on slide 6 and capture only what's on there. And then that new clip is going to show up as now our new video. That means that as a student, I don't have to redo my entire recording for all 12 slides. I can just do the recording for only slide 6 because that's the one that I messed up. It also means that in the process, if I realize, oh, slide 7 is like really good, it talks about and introduces the concept, maybe this slide should actually be slide 2 in place of the slide I currently have. You can move them around because your audio clip that goes with that slide is the only thing that's covered in that slide, as opposed to an entire one big video where you can't reorganize your content. All right, I'm going to pause there for a quick second to see if there are any questions. All right, looks like we're good. Okay, so from here, I want to add just a couple of extra quick things for your students to be able to leverage. I'm going to highlight here and I'm going to come to add page just to have a blank page. And over on the left, I'm going to go over to elements. I just want to show you that from the elements feature here, I mentioned earlier, beyond templates, you've got over 100 million assets that you can use from within your Canva account. And so you're going to find in here shapes, graphics, AI image generator content, tables, photos, videos, audio clips you can use. You can create charts. So if your students are collecting maybe data and they want to be able to show the information in the form of a chart, they could do that. You've got stickers, all kinds of stuff in here that they can use. So those over 100 million things, they're right in here. Plus also under text is where you're going to find your text content, as well as you've got this text art that you can use. And when you bring it over, your students can simply double click and change the text. So there I just wrote morning, and then instead of power, I'm going to say good. So now we've completely rewritten what's on there in that artwork, but now it says what we want it to say. So you've got that text option. And again, under uploads, in addition to recording yourself, you can upload your own images, video, and audio clips. So if your students are using maybe another device to record their content, capture images, they can certainly upload all of that content into your Canva account and use them that way as well. You also have a draw feature. So for example, if I was on a slide where I maybe wanted to explain something, you can use the draw tools to annotate over them, which is really nice. I really like that. And then the other thing I want to share with you, I'm going to go and close out of that. I wanted to share with you that any one of these slides can be converted into what's called a whiteboard. How many of you, just put in a +1 in the chat, how many of you have used the whiteboard feature? Just do a little +1 if you've used the whiteboards within the Canva account. So Canva has many tools, like I mentioned at the beginning. Whiteboard is one of them. So it looks like not anyone yet. Nope. Okay. Oh yeah, we did get a yes. Thank you. Okay. So not a lot of use for whiteboard. So think of whiteboards like your whiteboard in your classroom, but it's a digital version of a whiteboard where you can bring in stickies and activities, and you can add flow charts and all kinds of good stuff. We're going to take a look at that next from the student lens once again. So here's a slide that I have, but maybe I want to convert this slide into an activity. So when down at the bottom, when I hover over my thumbnail, I'm going to click on the 3 little dots and it pops open a window, and I'm going to say expand to whiteboard. This is no longer a slide like this one. Instead, this one, because it's a whiteboard, I can actually zoom out, move this over to the side, come over to my design element, and maybe what we want to do here, let me come out of that. Maybe we want to do a SWOT analysis that goes along with this activity. So it drops over this piece here, and these are templates, these whiteboard templates. So I can get rid of things we're not going to use. And let's zoom in on this SWOT analysis where your student is going to be dropping in some sticky notes identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Again, this could have just been that it was a part of that particular lesson. I'm going to scroll over even further, and I'm now going to bring over maybe a mind map um, so that we can do some mind mapping on the activity or the project that the students are working on. So the students can come in here and replace the text that's there with their text. You can also set this up for them so that these are blank, so that when they go in there, they actually start to flesh out their ideas. So this just says your awesome idea goes here on all of these. So they can obviously just replace the text, or you could do that for them. So this was a slide. This was just this right here. And maybe we converted this, into a mind map, into a whiteboard, because we want to leverage, let me go to the elements. Maybe you were asking the students to leave feedback using a sticky note based on the prompt that is written here. And so the student comes in here and writes their response to that prompt. And maybe you have multiple prompts where we're using different colored stickies to address different prompts or what have you. So I really like this feature, the fact that you can take any one slide, convert it into a whiteboard, and have all kinds of activities, worksheets, prompts that you can have your students completing. If this was a workbook that your students were using, perhaps you have instruction and activities and things that you've provided them here, and then suddenly they get to slide 10 and they have to complete that activity there along with maybe their peers in class. So maybe this is a group project and they're working on this together. The record feature works here from a presentation. So here we're like, maybe looking at that mind map. On the left, I'm going to go to uploads and I'm going to click the record button. It's going to work just the same way in that I can record and reflect on what we talked about when it came to this SWOT analysis or this feature or what have you. So I'm going to exit. It's exactly the same thing that we did before, but I wanted to show you that you could leverage that here. Now, regarding the whiteboard, you can use the whiteboard completely separate of a presentation. It doesn't have to be something that we pull open from a presentation. And before I leave this presentation, I wanted to let you know that at any point you can click on those three dots and collapse back into a slide. So this is now showing you everything that was done in the whiteboard, but in a slide, so that when you go to present mode, you can actually see all the content in a slide. And at any point, you could go back into the three dots and expand back to whiteboard. So you can toggle back and forth between a slide and a whiteboard, whiteboard and a slide at any time. Okay. All right, but let's do a whiteboard from scratch. As you can see, there's a lot of cool things that your students could leverage whiteboards with, but we're going to go back to our home page here. So hang tight. I'm going to share this tab again, go back to our home. And this time we're going to do a template, or we're going to do whiteboard templates. So we're going to come to template. And then from the menu up at the top here, we're going to select whiteboard. And from the options below, you can see there's a whole bunch of different things you can sift through. Know that under theme up here at the top, you can filter by skill on just education to only find education specific stuff. But know that there's so many other templates in here that are non-education that are really, really great to use. So first, I would filter without education specific types, because you're going to find that there's a lot of stuff that maybe the design, the layout you might really like that you want to use, that you'll find within those that are there. So lots of cool stuff here. And once you start sifting through, you can pick and choose maybe some items that you want to select. You start with one, and then from there, you can start adding more and more. So for example, let's say we wanted to do a KWL chart. So let's go ahead and open that one up and say, customize this template. This is now inside of just the whiteboard tool. We are no longer in a presentation. We're just using the whiteboard tool. So as you can see, they already set this up for us with sticky notes. So a student can come in here and complete this activity. A student can use this to maybe also create a portfolio of work, maybe adding all of their content on here. So here is our KWL chart that we just opened. I can pan around the screen and bring in more templates just like we did earlier. So we can go through here and maybe we're doing, a different template that we're adding. So I'm just going to grab another one just so you can see it. Once again, we've got yet another option over here. So this one is five ways to help your child get ready for kindergarten. So that's kind of like a little fun poster there. But again, you can go through here and find the stuff that's relevant to what you're covering and bring in more and more activities all into this one space. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to come back out to my home page, and I'm going to show you from our templates. I'm going to bring over, there is an activity we're going to all do together so you can get the feel of what it's like to be in the whiteboard as a student. So I'm going to type in its 3 kinds of kindness. This is one of my favorite activities. It's a template that's ready to go inside of Canva. And it is a whiteboard activity. Let me actually do this instead to find it quicker. I'm going to do whiteboard. And we're going to search by education. This is an education specific one. And here it is. So 3 kinds of kindness. We're going to customize that template. I'm going to share this tab here so you can see it. Remember, again, it'll come through with all kinds of stuff. And maybe I'm like, oh, I don't want to use the stickies that are here. So as you can see, I'm just deleting those stickies. All right. And I'm going to add my own stickies. Bring those in. And then I'm going to move this over here and bring in a whole bunch of different stickies. I'm also going to lock these other elements down because I don't want you to accidentally move them. So I'm going to lock those down. There's more elements over on this side that we're going to lock down as well. I'm highlighting, clicking the 3 dots, going to the lock from the pop-up menu to lock those items down. Now, to be clear, anyone with edit rights can unlock content. So you want to be mindful of that. This is not a oh, I'm locking, no one can ever unlock it. Anyone with edit rights, which I'm about to give you, will allow you to unlock. This is more of a, so we don't accidentally move things as we're dragging and dropping our sticky notes onto our main area here where we're going to answer the prompt. So here's your assignment. You're going to grab a sticky note and you're going to answer the 3 questions or the 3 areas of kindness. So it's, how will you practice each kind of kindness? Kindness to yourself, a kindness to others, a kindness to the world. How are you going to address those? Okay. So you're going to drag over your sticky into any one of those areas, and then you'll double click inside of the sticky note. And you'll say something like, I treat myself to a Starbucks. You know, whatever it is that you do for treating, you know, acts of kindness to yourself. And then you'll grab a different sticky note and then drag that one into kindness for others, which could be something like, I message my family and friends once a week to check in on them. Kindness to the world could be something like, I use a recycled bag whenever I go grocery shopping instead of using plastic or something like that. So I'm just creating a whole bunch of stickies over here. You're going to come grab your stickies and then drop them in. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Because I don't have your email addresses, I'm going to change this access from just me to anyone with a link, and I'm going to give you edit rights. I'm copying the link. I'm coming back over to us in the chat. I'm dropping in the link. Go ahead and click on that, and it's going to take you right into our whiteboard. Now, when you jump in there and you see that the stickies are really small, you need to zoom in. So do a Control plus or Command plus to zoom in. That's going to help you zoom in so that you can see the stickies. No need to make the stickies gigantic. Just zoom in. You can also use the lever down at the bottom to zoom in so you can see content a lot easier. But again, we're not stretching the stickies and making them gigantic. Instead, you're going to zoom in and zoom out as you need to. And you'll notice too that when somebody is on a sticky, It'll put their name on there too, like it shows up with their name. So you know, don't grab that sticky if somebody has already grabbed it and is using it. Go grab a different sticky. And the empty ones are over on the left-hand side. You want to click and drag them over onto the right. And again, no need to make your stickies really large. Keep them small, the same size. Instead, zoom in by doing a Command or Control plus. So Control plus to zoom in. You can also use the lever down at the bottom to zoom in so you can see them better. Okay. All right, so we've got quite a few of you in there already. If you're not already in there, again, the link is down in the chat. So open up the chat to get that going so you can get the link. You can also, if you're just watching, you can watch along on the screen. All right. So as your colleagues are moving some stickies around, just want to point out a couple of things. If someone were to accidentally delete something, you can go to File, the top left. There is a version history that allows you to get into previous versions of your document to recover content. All right, I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds. I'm going to put a timer here for 30 more seconds to do the activity. All right, so for those of you that are in here, again, you're just grabbing a sticky from the left side, all of those yellow stickies, just grab one, drag it over onto the board there, and answer the prompt. All right, so wrapping up then the activity, our timer has stopped now. You'll notice when you're in there on your device, if you're seeing it, if you've got your laptop open, this little timer down at the bottom left actually syncs for everybody. So whenever I have a timer that I start, everybody has the same timer with the same time that I've set it to. So let's say we did 1 minute and 30 seconds and I kick it off. Everyone's going to see and have this on their screens as well because it is a synced timer for everyone. All right. So I'm going to take away your edit rights. I'm going to go back into the share button and change from edit to view. I really like this because I can rope everyone back in. Let's come back to the center here. Let's focus on the next thing that we're going to work on. So you can no longer edit at this point, right? So I'm trying to get everybody's attention because we're going to discuss something. Maybe we discuss the results of what we just saw. Maybe we're going to review what you all wrote. So now together we're going to talk about, okay, let's take a look at what we each wrote for each of these sections. So maybe we're talking about these things, but as a whole group. So what I did was I changed your access rights from edit to view only so that you wouldn't keep editing things as I'm trying to address something, or maybe another student is sharing their results or things like that. So you want to rope everyone back in. That's just a little short, like a little tip there for you for classroom management, is to just toggle that edit right back over to view only so that you can at least get everyone's attention. So having said that, I do want to actually share a couple of quick things with you. Instead of having done this 3 acts of kindness over here in those 3 columns, maybe the prompt would have been something like, if you want to include a kindness to yourself, use a sticky that is, like a light blue or cyan, or maybe you're telling them turn that sticky note into a cyan color. If it is a kindness to the world, turn that color of that sticky to a different color, and maybe at that point you select, let's say, a pinkish color, etc. So you can tell them as a prompt which color to use. The reason why I'm telling you that is because when you highlight all the stickies like I'm doing now, you'll get a new option, which is sort. This is going to allow you to sort by topic, color, or by name. Now, because I did this as via color as a prompt, then we're going to do by color, and you're going to see that it automatically organizes all of your sticky notes really nicely, perfectly, based on the response in what they chose their sticky color to be. Because oftentimes what happens inside of these whiteboards is we're kind of putting the stuff all over, or if you have something like this, even, you know, we've got a place for them to put it. But if it's a sort of, you know, a quick, you want to do a poll check in with students, maybe this is sort of an exit ticket that you've created on the fly, well, you know, you'll end up with the stickies like this. And if you want to organize them to talk through them right before class is over, we just do a simple sort by color, and voila, we can now zoom in and talk through our results and see them all nicely organized. All right, I want to talk about the timer here really quick. Down at the bottom, you can toggle a timer on. We were using that in our activity here just a bit ago. So I want to just show you here really quick. I'm going to set this to 1 minute. So by default, it sets to a minute like that. You can add more time to the timer if you wanted to, or take away time. What I did earlier to set it to 30 seconds was to simply double click and type in the time. You can also do that. There's a couple of music options you can pick from if you wanted to, for example, have some music playing as the timer is playing. So maybe have something there in the background. Totally up to you. So I've just got some focus going. And if you move away and go to another tab, like let's say we come back over to something else, like over here, and we're doing something over here, the timer continues. It doesn't stop just because I've moved to a different tab. And even when in another tab, if the timer is done and it buzzes, you can still hear the buzz even if you're not on the timer itself or on the slide that has the timer. All right, I'm going to pause that, and then to get rid of it, to move it out of your way, you just click it again and it drops it down to the bottom. Okay, you currently went in and dropped in sticky notes. I'm going to give you edit rights once again. This time what I want you to do is go to your elements. More than just stickies, you've got all kinds of stuff. You've got graphics, and you've got photos and videos and all kinds of stuff you can pick from. I want you to just grab and stick onto anywhere in the whiteboard. This is just for the purpose of playing and exploring. So I'm changing the rights to edit mode. You want to refresh. If you still have that open, refresh the page. If not, you can also just go, if you closed it, no worries, go back to our chat and click on the link again. It'll take you right back in so that you can come back in and edit again. So again, if you have it open still, just do a refresh. If you've closed it out, go back to the chat, click on the link, it'll bring you back in. And again, you're going to the elements and you're looking for shapes and photos, stickers. I love these stickers. It's a really great way to kind of give feedback saying, okay, great job here. So you can put a little sticker, or you can leave, you know, kind of like a question mark, like this needs to be reviewed. Photos, videos, go ahead and drag things over onto the screen there. Just kind of play a little bit with some of the extras. Ah, we're getting some hand clapping. I love it. All right, I'm going to give you the remaining 30 seconds here to keep playing. All right. Okay, so time is up. I'm going to go ahead once again, change the share type to view only. So it's going to now not let you do any more editing. So that was a little bit of whiteboard. I'm going to come back to our presentation because I want to go ahead and start wrapping up here on some of this stuff. So I'm going to share with you the deck that you can have access to. But first, I'm going to share what you're going to find in it, and then I'm going to drop the link into our chat. So from this presentation, you saw that we jumped into a presentation as well as a whiteboard. And so in the deck, you're going to find all of these things here that talk about like the drag and drop editor, the video background remover, you know, just some things. We did quite a bit, not necessarily everything, you know, because we were just here for a short while, but you're going to have So many things to explore in this deck, including an entire section on how to leverage, excuse me, how to leverage Canva with your students when students are maybe creating goal setting, creating habit trackers, maybe some student planners, things like that. And then you'll get to a section that says, well, how can we use Canva with students to activate their prior knowledge? And we have some examples in here as well, using KWL charts, brainstorming, mind mapping, things like that. And then you'll get to the next section and so forth and so forth. Like here, it's how can students capture their own learning in Canva? And you're going to see that there are a whole bunch of examples in here as well for doing that and so forth. So all of this is going to be found. I've got a bit.ly link for you and a QR code. So let me pull this open here and let's put it in presentation mode so you can see it a little bit better. So you want to grab that link. I'll drop it into the chat as well here in just a second, but there it is, as well as a QR code so you can scan that in. That bit.ly link is case sensitive, so you want to grab it exactly as you see it. So Canva should be all caps, everything else is lowercase. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that link. Don't worry, I'm going to drop it in and give it to you guys here. So let me grab it from here. And I'm going to come back to us in the chat, and I'm going to drop that in. So you want to open that up. So if you're on your computers, you can go ahead and open up that link there. And again, you'll be able to explore all of the resources, including ideas and ways in which you can leverage Canva with your students. I'll put this back in presentation mode so you can see it bigger again. And I know that there is going to be a survey here that you're going to be completing, and they're going to drop that in into the chat as well. So you definitely want to do that before we wrap up. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and pause to see if there are any questions over anything that we looked at. Any questions? Any comments? And David, are you going to be posting that survey link for us at the end there? Thank you. All right, everyone. So there is your session evaluation. You want to click on that and fill that out. And once you're done getting that QR code or that bit.ly link and then filling out that evaluation, that wraps it up for this particular session. I'm going to stick around here. We've got about 5-ish minutes or so left here before this session ends. So I'm going to stick around in case there are any questions, in case you want to see anything again. Thank you, Marisol. Enjoy the rest of your conference, and good luck with back to school, everyone. Thank you so much. All right, once again, I'm going to stick around in case there are any questions, but it looks like most people are popping out. Thank you, everyone, for today. And hopefully we'll see you. We've got 2 more Canvas sessions coming up if you want to join us for those. And again, I'll stick around to see if there are any questions, but it looks like most people are popping out.
I have one question.
Yes.
When the kids do a video, I like the way they do a video. Is there a way to make it to a QR code from here?
From in the presentation, like the one that we did?
Yes.
Yes. So let me show you really quick. Let me stop sharing that and let me go to the one that we created. think I still have it opened. I don't. Okay, so let me go to my projects, and I'm going to open up the one that we just did just a bit ago. So hang tight. Okay. All right. So you know how I did this recording on this presentation? If I wanted to be able to add a QR code to this so that I could then share it out with people, on the left-hand side, you've got a button that's called Apps. And when you open that up, you can type in QR code. And I'm just going to hit enter, and you're going to see a whole bunch of different QR code generators. I'm just going to use the first one that's there. And
Okay,
of course,
I'm still on the same slide. I can't see what you're doing.
here we
Oh,
go.
there you go. Okay, now it shows.
So on the left, I'm going to apps. Hold on. Right here. I typed in QR code, and it gave me all these results. So I'm selecting just the first one in the interest of time here, but there's different options you can pick from. And of course, to create a QR code, you need the URL to your presentation. You get that by going to the share button up at the top right, and you need to change the access rights. So it just depends on how your students want to share. If it's just anyone with the link can view, or if they're very specific people they're adding, they would do it up here. I'm going to do anyone with a link. It's the same process, whether it's up here or down here. And then you give it the rights. I only want people to view the presentation. So now it says anyone with a link can view, or it could have been specific people, like maybe just the teacher, maybe teachers and students. And then you can change the rights up here instead of down here. And then you copy that link and you come over here and you paste it in, click generate code, and it's going to drop in a QR code right onto your presentation. Yeah, so it's really simple to generate QR codes from right within your Canva designs.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I still see a couple of folks still lingering in here. Anyone else here have some questions? All right, they're popping out. Okay, all right, everyone. It looks like we're good. David, I'm going to go ahead and pop out now, and we'll see you all in another session after the lunch break. Bye, everyone.